everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Executive Encore. This is the podcast designed to support and guide women, executives, and business owners who are navigating the complexities of moving into their Encore years. Today, I have two guests with us. You see just one guest at the moment. I have Wendy Guth and Crystal Eicher will be joining us shortly. She happens to be in Houston traffic. So those are the lives, right?
Yes,
So if you are feeling isolated or overwhelmed as you enter your Encore phase and fear the loss of connection as you leave the networks behind that you've built throughout your career, you're in the right place today. This episode is for you. My guests today, Crystal and Wendy, are the co-founders of Serendipitous Rebel. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Perfect.
They are the creators, but I didn't say creators properly. Creators of Savor Mindset Retreat. Okay, sometimes I have to slow down my speech. They help women business owners in midlife step out of the overwhelm that we can all experience and into a more aligned, sustainable success by combining strategic marketing, deep coaching, and intentional space for growth. Their work goes beyond business strategy. They guide women to rebuild their businesses, perhaps around who they are and the life that they want. So it's a perfect alignment with the work that I do at Executive Encore. So I have invited Wendy and Crystal to consider how their message of why women need connection rather than just information, how that speaks to the experience of a broader spectrum beyond midlife of women executives and business owners who are now entering their Encore phase. So welcome, Wendy. And when
Crystal
comes on, we'll take a break and say hello to Crystal as well.
Great. Thank you. We're so happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's dive right into what our first talking point is going to be. We operate so heavily in a digital space now, and believe it or not, we're very savvy at it as well. We fight those stereotypes that, some people don't think we're that savvy, but we are. Women in their Executive Encore phase are very savvy. And but we are hearing more and more women executives and business owners of all ages saying they feel incredibly isolated. Wendy, can you speak to the importance of connection for those women in the online world and how isolation can actually amplify our self-doubt?
Oh, definitely. And the whole concept of community and connection is actually one of our pillars of the Savor framework, being open to connection and community. And it's such a critically important piece. As human beings, we're wired for connection. We're not wired to be isolated. And most of the time, when you think about even illnesses and things that we start to really think about as we get older, is really around that come about from isolation. Our nervous systems, we want to be with other human beings. So, and I think it's really super interesting if you look at it. And we have a podcast and we did an episode recently on, AI versus community. Because we hear a lot, and I'm sure you probably do as well, the concept of, well, I can just talk to my Claude or my Chat GPT. I don't need human beings. And it's, wait a second. Yes, you can get an incredible amount of information and really speed up things, your workload, things of that nature through AI. But the big difference is it doesn't help you discern the information. It doesn't help you really, if you're having a bad day, it's not going to console you. And really taking on just the human emotions, it also isn't going to know if you're, let's see, if you're being, sorry, my brain is working in overdrive right now. So it's there to help you, but in no way does it ever replace what other human beings do. And when we're talking about it, we really also drill down that it's really looking at people who can see you when you're vulnerable. And that's really the most important thing, and can help you work through life. You know, it's like Crystal being stuck in traffic. It's a lifing thing, yet it has stressed her out.
Here comes Crystal now.
Oh,
Let's
great.
welcome Crystal.
Yeah. So,
Good
Hi,
timing,
I'm
Crystal.
so sorry. Thank you so
No
much.
need to be sorry. Great timing. We were just
Yeah.
talking about connecting, and then you connected. So
Oh, here we go.
that's wonderful.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Crystal, we were just talking, or Wendy was explaining why or how it's different to have community rather than, especially when we have this digital world that is sort of like a
Mhm.
shallowness to it, how important it is for us to have connection. And so, Wendy, you go ahead, and then Crystal can jump in whenever she likes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it is so important to have that interaction. You know, we know how to use all the technology in the world and all of this AI and all of, we know how to use this, but it cannot replace human beings. It cannot replace what it means to sit down and just have a bitch fest or a coffee chat or whatever those things are. We had ours this morning.
Yes.
And I know I am super, super fortunate, super lucky. I have a business partner who
Yeah.
I probably spend more time on Zoom with than I actually spend face to face with my husband.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably thrilled about. I know he's thrilled about that. But and
Not.
you
You
know,
have to
so
for her husband to know he's not, but that's okay.
okay.
It's a different relationship. It's
Yes,
a different
different
relationship,
relationship.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just so important to have the opportunity to talk to people. And again, we are human, and we need that connection, and our bodies need it to stay healthy. And
Mhm.
I really think that becomes more and more important as we get older. Being isolated is I think one of the number one causes ultimately of early deaths, and none of us want that, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, yeah, I cannot talk about enough the importance. I mean, we're even at the point now where we're launching a Savor community,
Good for you.
which something a couple of years ago we would have been like, oh my God, no way, no way.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like, you do have a community when you have your retreats. You bring that community
Mhm.
together.
Yes.
Now, one of the things about technology, it does allow us to have a wider
Mhm.
connection. However, I think what you mentioned is so important, is that this worldwide community may not have the empathy for when we're vulnerable. Whereas when you design a community, you have
Mhm.
community guidelines, how people behave with one another.
Yes.
And it is more or less, it's more um, meeting a particular need rather than the worldwide need. Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to put that in before I asked Krista to carry on with what you would like to say about that.
Well, I think the online world is set up to be so performative,
Mm-hmm.
set up for vulnerability. I am much likely to share the pretty moments from my weekend where we took the top off the Bronco and we went and got ice cream with the kids, and we went and had this, beautiful. We enjoyed this beautiful weather on Sunday. That's the picture I'm going to share online. I'm not going to share my 13-year-old having a total meltdown about picking up her room, or the fact that my other daughter slammed her door and said, "You're the worst mom ever," when I asked her to go do something.
Mm-hmm.
um, and or that the fact that the laundry's folded, but you can't see my couch right now. You don't see that version of me. You
Mhm.
see the curated version behind me, right? And I think that there's a part of us that needs that Me Too moment connection. That's the connection piece.
Mhm.
Me Too. I've been there too, without the judgment. And when you put your stuff online, it's really scary because you're worried, are people judging the way I look? Are they judging what I'm saying? Do you think I'm the worst mom too? Because maybe you're going to side with my kids. And now if you're looking at that from a business standpoint too, we all want to put on this curated feel that we've made it, and that's going to present our authority, right? Except that, again, you just lack that real connection of like, yeah, I've made it. Yeah, I have this profitable business, but I still struggle with the same issues of visibility and traffic. And I don't want to put makeup on and get on front of the camera either. And all of the things, right? And today I had a call from school. I had to go pick up my daughter from school real quick before I had to jump over here. We're juggling so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Have that safe space in a curated community where you have the shared bonds, the shared connections with people. That's what makes it so important.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And, it does allow you to sort of release those masks that you do have, like on the worldwide
Mhm.
network. And you talked about performative, because I think we've noticed change in all our platforms. Like I've dropped a couple of platforms
Yeah.
Mhm.
because, Crystal, you said about Me Too. Like I'm experiencing that as well, or at least it elicits that from other people, right? But in a nice, intimate community, even though it might be digital, it might be women all over the world, right?
Mhm.
But the other part of that is that I've noticed some of the platforms, it's all about me. Look at me. Look at what
Mhm.
I've done. And that's what you mean about performative, right?
Mhm.
And that's where it amplifies the self-doubt for all the rest who are not having the spotlight on themselves. That because not everybody wants the spotlight on themselves, but they see this and they automatically internalize it, right? There's something wrong with me if I can't put myself out like that, right?
Mhm.
And that's unfortunate. So I did mention to Wendy in the introduction that your message about less information, like it's about connecting, not
Mhm.
about information. And I asked Wendy to sort of relate it to women. Like I know you do a lot of work with midlife women, but what about the women who are on that? Well, we still think we're midlife because that's what it feels like to us.
Yeah.
We don't see it as being end
Right.
of life. But when they are moving into their encore, like a whole lot of things come up regarding self-regard.
Mhm.
Depending on how they leave the workplace, it can be or their business
Yeah.
or a transition in their business. We're seeing big transition in business now, small business, right?
Yeah.
Because of what's going on in the world. So when we all come across transitions like that, it's more about giving us a community where when we feel a little shaky, where we can empathize with one another and, like you say, yeah, I'm feeling that too. Like, how
Yeah.
do we get past this, right? There's no judgment. Yeah, I feel like that too. So, could you add to that, like for women who are entering their encore, where it might feel a little shaky, how a community, especially an online community that's curated
Mhm.
for their age group, can be very beneficial.
I think that as we are growing for women, our identity is very other focused, right? And then when we're in our career and things like that, if you can be in a safe space with who can reflect your gifts and your genius back to you, that is a beautiful opportunity that I don't think we otherwise see, that we otherwise get. I think that it's very easy to silo up, and we ask a lot of our guests on our podcast and in our group, what are the 5 hats you wear? What are the 5 parties that you are having to maybe switch in and out of at any given day? I'll be honest, when Wendy asked me this question the very first time, I had a hard time identifying my hats. Like, what
Really?
are
Mhm.
they? What are they? Who am I? And then also, who do I want to be? Right? And what do I want to be that's not projected by what society wants me to be or what my husband thinks he wants, with his best of intentions. He keeps telling me I should go do this or go do that, right? Or what my parents maybe thought I needed to be way back, or what I needed to be successful in a workplace environment is not who I necessarily want to be. It's who I needed to be, right?
Mhm.
But as we're entering into those encore years and we're just kind of transitioning out of that, Wendy said something to me a couple weeks ago, and I keep thinking about it. Who you were in survival mode is not who you need to be to move forward in thrive mode.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think that having that opportunity to be in a community that is safe, that is supportive, that is free of judgment, that can lean into you with curiosity and help ask these questions is a great way for you to feel out who it is that you actually want to be without the pressures of all the other external things that
Mhm.
tell you what you should,
Mhm.
or without the pressure of sometimes that's taken away because kids grow up and they don't need us to be a certain thing anymore.
That
And so
role gone. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and so you're kind of transitioning into, well, what does my role look like now in
Mhm.
this capacity, and what do I want it to look like, not what everybody else thinks it should look
Yeah.
like.
Yes. Yes. And not what society is telling us it should look like, right?
Correct.
This
Yes.
is
Yes.
my role. Like, I'm going to create a role now, and not
Mhm.
necessarily a role, but I'm going to feed my soul with things that
Yeah.
I want so that my life looks like this to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
May look different to other people.
Mhm.
And going back to social media, it's supposed to be everyone's supposed to look the same, right? They're all supposed to look like hype or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
I just love that. It's I love that we're talking about dropping the masks, but I'm also loving that you're talking about us curating a community that helps us to set new standards for ourselves and for our
Mhm.
group, okay?
Mhm.
Whether it's personal, professional, or in our Encore lives. We need to focus more on the human behind who we are or behind that particular
Mhm.
group or whatever, what we're pursuing. Okay, so if we're looking at being a freelance consultant as we leave the corporation, or we want to open a new business, or we're going into volunteer work because I always
Mhm.
wanted to volunteer with a particular group, or it could be our own creativity and our recreational
Mhm.
activities. Who's the human behind that?
Mhm.
Right. And I think that's what you brought to this conversation today. And I really thank you for that. Before we close, is there anything else you want to share? Because I have one
Um,
last question for you, but if there's anything else you want to share, go ahead.
well, I was just going to tie into that really is savor. And it's stepping out of your comfort zone, aligning your passions and purpose, venturing under your own power, being open to connection and community, unwinding with self care, and ritualizing your gratitude and celebration, which is a really important holistic look at ourselves and how we want to not only, how we want to feel and to appear to the world.
Hmm. That part that you said about moving under our own power, that's
Mhm.
something for us to look into a little more, right? Rather than feel like we've lost some power, like actually using that power that we have, that personal
Yeah.
power. Yeah. So before we do close, I have one question for you. Could each one of you kindly share a pivotal moment in your life when you identified a desire to remaster your life and work? And how did that moment affect the insight that you have about building community?
Let's see. Well, for me, I'm coming on my 10-year anniversary of leaving the corporate world.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I hit 50 years old. Uh, I quickly lost my job. And actually, at the same time, my now husband, we were dating. And so I'm an older mom, so I had kids that were still young. And it was a huge pivot. And I always think about the door shut, the door opened. the door shut, the door opened. And that was an opportunity for me to explore different career opportunities. And I decided that I did not want to go back into the corporate world where, older people were getting pushed out by younger, much significantly cheaper. So I decided my father was an entrepreneur. So I said, this is the opportunity to do this. And at this time, my husband, we ended up getting engaged and getting married and got, and it was really, really focusing on the door shutting and the door opening, and and looking at everything as an opportunity to really take a good solid look at life and figure out, okay, what is it that I need? What is it that and that was actually, yes, it was a painful time.
It's painful, yeah.
But it quickly evolved into that door shut. I'm heading towards that door, and I couldn't be happier.
Good, good. Crystal, how about you?
So actually, my moment actually came in during a coaching call with Wendy. So Wendy was my coach. I went through one of her beta programs when she was launching her coaching business. And we were working together sort of on the side. She says, I'm doing this. And she asked me the question of, who do you want to be? And I realized in that call and in talking through, at the time, she and I were in another partnership running a membership program. I had a travel business. I was a military spouse. So by that point, I have had about 1,000 jobs under the sun because we moved so much. And I had a special needs daughter. And so working a 9-to-5 corporate was not in the cards for me. And everything that I had done in my life up to that point had been dictated by the shoulds. You should do this. You should do that. We expect you to do this. Or it was, I think about that visual of like a jar full of rocks and I'm the water, like I'm the water that like fills the gap around the rocks, right? Everything I was doing was in creation and service of doing it for somebody else. The membership even was not our shtick. It wasn't our idea. I was executing somebody else's vision. And it was when we started to kind of untangle that and really ask, what is it that I want out of life? And what do I need it to be for me? Which was still not a traditional corporate 9-to-5 work from home, but within my zone of genius of what it is that I wanted to do. So within 3 months of that call, I closed down my travel business. We had backed out of the membership program. We were going into, I said, I'm going to go into consulting. Wendy was like, let's do it. Wendy and I were like, we should do it together. And we launched Serendipitous Rebel, I think 6 months. I don't think it was less than a year now that I'm trying to think about the timeline a little bit. It's fuzzy, but it was really, really quick of like really starting to break down all of the the should relationships in my life for the what's best for Crystal with as much grace as absolutely possible.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. And I like that you add that because it's not an easy thing to do.
No.
So first of all, great testimonial.
Yes.
Great testimonial for Wendy. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I picked up on, Crystal, you said who you want to be, not what you want to be. Because I think those shoulds come from what, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. But, most people say, what do I need to do? What do I want to be? It's who you want to be. It's going back to the human, right? It's the human behind all that. Yeah. So thank you so much. It's been an amazing conversation with you. And I want to speak to our listeners for a moment. And if you could just hang on.
Sure.
For our listeners who are ready to step out of their overwhelm and be aligned with the self-leadership, I encourage you to explore Wendy and Crystal's work. Visit their website at savormastermind.com. That's correct, right? And they're linked down below. There's all their platforms as well. Learn more about the Mastermind Retreat and how you can join their incredible community. How long has your community been going for?
So our community actually just launched, our online community just launched a couple weeks, this week is actually the
Oh,
first
congratulations.
launch. Thank you, online. But we've been working with our community of people for about 4 years now,
Yeah,
online entrepreneurs. So we're just finally consolidating them online in one place,
yeah. Good
trying
solid
all
background.
social platforms.
Good, good. So to our listeners, again, thank you for tuning into Executive Encore. Remember, your Encore years are your opportunity to lead with excellence, authenticity, and connection. Remember that your post-corporate transition is a time to thrive on your own terms. If you're ready to build a network, first of all, there's Wendy's and Crystal's network, but also there's the Executive Encore Network for Women that I run. Both those programs would probably be really good to take a look at, right? All links will be in the show notes. We hope this conversation has inspired you to be intentional about the next steps in your Executive Encore, especially when it pertains to your community and how they can support you. Read the blog that will feature this conversation with Crystal and Wendy and add your comments to have your voice matter. You can find that on the link, patriciamuir.com/blog. For subscribers and members of Executive Encore for Women already, watch Crystal's and Wendy's feature and their special offer linked in the newsletter on Sunday, April 12th. Okay. If you're not already a subscriber, see the code up above, okay, and click on that code so that you can sign up. And when you subscribe to the newsletter, you will receive other VIP access as well to resources and offers by other podcasts and other guests, and exclusive to Executive Encore and members and subscribers only. So subscribe wherever you see us, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on your podcasts. And for more resources, join the conversation, visit me on my website at patriciamuir.com and follow me on LinkedIn. Remember, this is where your Executive Encore begins. This is where you start to live, work, and lead your life differently with self-trust, healthy boundaries, healthy mindset, and a great community. Until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself. Bye-bye.